The Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, has called for the scrapping of State Independent Electoral Commissions and the transfer of local government elections to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to ensure credible polls and strengthen local autonomy. Speaking at the consultative meeting of the House Committee on Constitution Review with political party leaders in Abuja, IPAC Deputy Chairman Dipo Olayoku, who represented the National Chairman, Dr. Yusuf Dantalle, also advocated removing the executive's power to appoint INEC officials. The report.
Olayoku proposed the establishment of an independent appointment committee comprising representatives of political parties, civil society organizations, the judiciary, and the National Assembly. Other IPAC proposals include restoring public funding for political parties, establishing an electoral offences commission, and allowing parties to replace legislators who defect or die without costly by-elections. National Women Leaders Forum president backed the special seats bill, saying it would correct gender imbalances and enhance women's political representation.
IPAC has been championing local government autonomy. Politics is local. Citizens should be encouraged to actively participate in grassroots politics that guarantees free, fair, and credible local government election. 2. The removal of the power to appoint the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the commission secretary, and the national commissioners. This power should be taken away from the executive to promote the independence of the commission.
As women leaders, advocates, and stakeholders, let us seize this moment to build consensus, strengthen our strategies, and reaffirm our shared resolve. Together, we can turn advocacy into action and aspirations into realities.
In his welcome address, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and Chairman of the House Committee on Constitution Review, Benjamin Kalu, called on leaders of Nigeria's registered political parties to unite behind the constitutional review process, describing it as a historic opportunity to reshape the nation's democratic framework. He emphasized that 26 years after Nigeria's return to democratic rule, the nation has recorded progress through successive elections and peaceful transfers of power, but gaps still remain in governance, inclusiveness, and accountability. According to him, the review provides a rare opportunity to close those gaps and deliver a constitution that truly serves the people. Senate President Godswill Akpabio, represented by the Senate Chief Whip, Senator Muhammad Mogunu, said the review is a moral duty to make the constitution reflect current realities, stressing credible elections, judicial integrity, and grassroots federalism.
Bills that seek to streamline our electoral process, reducing the endless litigation that undermines the will of the people. So looking at the cost effectiveness of running multiple elections in an election cycle instead of having most of the elections done in one day. That is what is before us. These are not abstract legal propositions. They are not. They are reforms that go to the heart of what it means to be a democracy.
We must strengthen INEC, shield our courts from corruption, and restore the people's confidence in the institution. In India, reforms made voting accessible even in the remotest villages. In South Africa, the Constitution enshrines judicial independence as sacred. We can do the same, not by copying others, but by perfecting ourselves.
There are proposals to establish State Council of Traditional Rulers to provide advisory role on culture, customary law, security, and intercommunal issues. There are also proposals in the Constitution Review for elections to be held on the same day.
These are some of the issues expected to be addressed in the ongoing Constitutional Review exercise.
Now joining us via Zoom to throw more light on the latest development on IPAC is the former IPAC chairman, Yabagi Sani. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the News Hour. Good evening, can you hear me? Can you please unmute your mic?
I'm trying to do. I think it's on mute now.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right. So you once led IPAC. How would you assess the current leadership's call for scrapping state independent electoral, commissions?
Well, if you observe critically what has been happening, this is like an organized crime at the local government level. Anytime you are having elections, because you can hardly find any party that is not in power in that state, meaning even a councillorship is difficult. You may win, but the powers that be at that in that state will take it away from you. So it's a charade of democracy, a mockery of democracy, and for us to have proper democratic ethos, enshrined at that level of governance, which is the closest tier to the government, like to the people, like So if you can't get it right at that level, then you can imagine what happens at the state level, what will happen at the federal level. So this is why we're saying that if you take away the responsibility for conducting elections at that level from the state, governance, and then give it to national INEC, hopefully, I say hopefully, we may get it, right. Because if you look at what is happening, even at the national level, when you have national elections, there's not much to really cheer about. That okay, it's not yet Uhuru, even at that level. But then, what you have at that level is perhaps something that you can say, okay, let's build on what we are having. So this is why IPAC is of the opinion for a long time that this responsibility should be taken away from the state governors and given to the national INEC so that we can begin to have an election that people can believe in, so that people can begin to participate in an election and then their votes will begin to count. So this is why we're saying that should happen. You see, like we also mentioned, the appointment of of the superintendents at the of elections at INEC. I'm talking about the national chairman, the chairman of INEC, the national commissioners, the reg. The appointment should not be done by the same person who also is a participant, who is taking part in the election. That's Mr. President. It's not fair at all. It doesn't portray us as a serious, people, because if you pay the piper, you dictate the tune. And this is why we are saying that in addition to taking away the responsibility for conducting elections from the local government, for local government elections from the governors, also the appointment of the INEC officials should be taken away from the president, so that we can begin to have something that we can rely upon and be able to have elections that will produce responsible, individuals that will have empathy and will have connection with the grassroots or with the electorates, as the case may be. Again, we are asking for amendment of the act, But if you look at even the present constitution, what the constitution says about the funding of INEC, that the funding should come from the consolidated revenue, and that National Assembly should be the one to supervise INEC as far as budgeting is concerned. Today, what you find is that the federal government, it prepares the budget. INEC prepares the budget and send to the federal government, for them to now send to National Assembly, which is wrong. So you will not have, even today, as I speak, the laws are being violated. The law that enshrines the autonomy of INEC and its funding is being violated. You look at, if you remember what happened when some few months ago, Mr. President launched, the foundation laying stone of the new INEC headquarters in Abuja. That is not the place of Mr. President. It is not FDA that should build headquarters for INEC. It is wrong, because the Constitution specifically says that politically exposed individuals or governments should not acquire anything for INEC. INEC should be independent in funding, in budgeting, in expenses, and everything. But that is being violated. So you ask yourself, even if we now say don't appoint INEC chairman, how much will that translate to independence when the money that they're supposed to use will still be coming from the president? So, so not only that we need to amend that law, but we also have to ensure that the present law, the present constitution is being enforced. That is not being done as we speak today.
If you can hear me, you are clamoring for, the government to seize control of, the INEC. You want them to be independent. But if they remain independent, or if, government ceases to be in control of, INEC, how certain are we of the credibility of appointments or elections, rather?
No, there can be a stakeholder mechanism. All the stakeholders. You can, for instance, have some organizations like unions, like these pressure groups. You can have the Judiciary Commission. You can have labor unions. You can have people from various sectors of the economy, the stakeholders from even the parties, that will come together and then perhaps advertise this post. And then they will now subject them to some screening and then appoint, anybody that is found to be competent, so that the person can now operate independently. But if you have Mr. President appointing the person, how can the person fail Mr. President in election? It's not possible. So this is the issue we're talking about. And the constitution, the drafters of the constitution that says you need to have an independent body, which is a commission. What you must understand is that the commission is not a federal agency. It's not. Commission is to overlook the interests of the nation. Federal agencies are, to a very large extent, overlooking the interests of the government of the day. So this is why you must have somebody that is completely independent of the government of the day, because it's a commission. It's just like you have Judicial Commission itself. You have Allocation Commission. You have commissions like that are national bodies. They are overseeing the interests of the nation, beyond the interests of a government of the day.